Out of all the bands to come out of the 80s, Love and Rockets has to be among my favorites. In fact, they might be the favorite, at least in the style they were known for, a mishmash of pop, gothic, punk rockabilly, and AOR. While the bands they evolved from, Bauhaus and Tones on Tail, were critical successes, neither could equal the trio's popularity. Combining edginess with a toe-tapping pop beat, Love and Rockets broke new ground and gained favor with critics and fans alike. Along with singer Peter Murphy, the trio of Daniel Ash on guitar and saxophone, David J. on bass, and Jay's brother Kevin Haskins on percussion, Bauhaus was formed in 1978, becoming the first in what would later be dubbed Gothic rock. Others, though, have likened them to everything from post-punk to alternative, underground, and even glam punk, depending upon who is cited. Whatever label you put upon them, Bauhaus paved the way for a whole generation of performers also influenced by the likes of T-Rex, David Bowie, and Brian Eno. Combining those inspirations with the chaos that came out of punk, a new, darker sound emerged, yet one tinged with a slight accessibility. Songs like Kick in the Eye, Dark Entries, She's in Parties, and their trademark, Bela Lugosi's Dead, electrified fans with the imagery evoked in their tracks. Yet the creative mastery would end not too long after the start of the new decade. After 5 studio albums and 1 live LP, the band went their separate ways in 1983, or so it would seem. Even before the breakup, Ash and Haskins had started the side project of Tones on Tail, with Bauhaus roadie Glenn Campling on bass. While the preeminent dance song Go was a favorite on the club scene, much of the rest of their material pointed to a transition in sound that was a natural progression from what had come before and what would be. From the haunting Lions to Happiness to Burning Skies, Tones on Tail's body of work was diverse while musically progressive. Many of those tracks would sound at home on Love and Rockets' eventual first release, Seventh Dream of a Teenage Heaven. According to some, in 1985, Daniel Ash, David J., and Kevin Haskins were waiting for Peter Murphy to rehearse for a possible Bauhaus reunion. After Murphy was a no-show, the trio jammed anyway and were pleased with the results, so much so that they formed Love and Rockets. Inspired by the title of an underground comic, the band was given blessing to the name by its creators, the Hernandez brothers, after they heard early demos for the first album. A logical evolution of the Tones on Tail sound, the songs of the debut were both thoughtful and upbeat. In addition to the title track, If There's a Heaven Above and Dog End of a Day Gone By showcased mature songwriting honed by years of experimentation. The trio had finally found their niche. But it wasn't until 1986's Express that the band began to garner well-earned praise from critics and fans alike. Though All in My Mind and a remake of Ball of Confusion got the most airplay, Kundalini Express, It Could Be Sunshine, and Life in Lorelei were all solid compositions worthy of acclaim. The music was so timeless that tracks like Yin and Yang, The Flower Pot Man are used in commercials to this day. The follow-up record, 1987's Earth, Sun, Moon, only boosted their popularity, with Mirror People and No New Tale to Tell getting significant airplay. The band's creativity could barely be contained during this period, for somehow they found the energy for a side project, the Bubblemen, based upon characters drawn by Ash. Looking like monochromatic alien bees, the trio donned costumes of their alter egos. As early as the Express album, they could be seen dancing as the extraterrestrial band in videos supporting the record. By 1988, they had released an EP and video for The Bubblemen Are Coming, a quirky, catchy tune that most fans of the band took as a breath of fresh air that only added to their popularity. Yet their prominence was to reach new heights in just a couple of years. Like a handful of others, Love and Rockets waited until much later to have a self-titled release other than their initial one. So it was with the 1989 release using the band's moniker. Not that anyone would forget their name after hearing the #1 single off the album. So Alive was not only the highest charting song on the record, but in the band's history as well. Reaching #3 on the Billboard Hot 100 in August of '89, It wasn't long before So Alive could be heard everywhere, especially on dance floors around the world. At the time though, I and many other longtime fans were thoroughly sick of the song. I've always preferred No Big Deal instead, and my favorite track on the album, Motorcycle. In the years to come, Love and Rockets never quite matched the mainstream success they had enjoyed with So Alive. Sweet Lover Hangover off of 1996's Sweet F.A. would do well on the alternative charts, but not so with the general public. The band would eventually call it quits after Lift was released in 1998, mainly focusing on Bauhaus reunions thereafter, although the trio did reunite for a few performances in the late 2000s. In recent years, Daniel Ash and Kevin Haskins have partnered with Haskins' daughter to perform as Pop Tone. Spotlighting mostly Tones on Tail pieces, the band occasionally play Love and Rockets and Bauhaus tunes as well. For me, Love and Rockets' legacy is the trilogy of recordings issued from 1985 to 87, with Seventh Dream of a Teenage Heaven, Express, and Earth, Sun, Moon. Those albums perfectly demonstrate a band that had found their stride, melding everything learned from both Bauhaus and Tones on Tail, composing and performing at their peak during a time when anything could and did happen in alternative music. Well, that does it for this episode. If you're interested in buying any of the music mentioned in this video, follow our links in the description to iTunes or Amazon. Making your purchases through our navigation helps to support us and is greatly appreciated. You can now also show your support for Alter Past by becoming a patron through our Patreon account. Use the link in the description to find out more. Be sure to subscribe to Alter Past and never miss an episode of The Past You Never Knew. Also, give this video a like to show us that you think we're on the right track. Read a more in-depth account of the story in the original blog post at alterpast.wordpress.com. Thanks for watching. This is Will Carlson, and I'll see you in the Alter Past.